Hey everyone, welcome to the Absolute Business Mindset podcast on YouTube channel. Today we have Rocco Carriero, who is a private wealth advisor and an author. So we're going to talk to him about mindset. We're going to talk to him about his upbringing. We're going to talk about his book, Three Chords Approach. We're going to talk about his role as a wealth advisor, how that impacts him and his clients. And we delve into deep about what a wealth creation, what wealth mindset, what a wealth advisor would actually do for their clients. And then we're touching on a little bit more about his why he does things with his family, what impact mental health has had on his life, and what he does through philanthropic work. So this is an absolutely fascinating conversation with a wide breadth of different topics that we're going to touch on, all based around wealth and wealth creation. So if you are enjoying this content, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. The subscribe button does really super help the channel. So I'd really appreciate if you are enjoying this content to please hit the subscribe button, and we will be able to build this channel bigger and bigger. So thank you very much for your time, and over to the interview. Today we have Rocco Carriero, who is a CEO, private wealth advisor, and author. Hello, Rocco. How are you today?
Hey, Mark, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's going to be a slightly different one, but I've had a couple of wealth advisors before, which has been interesting, especially I'm now 42. I'm not quite looking to clock out, but definitely ideas are sort of like legacy and sort of like inheritance and things like that. I know you do a lot more than that. Definitely things that I've started. I wrote a will through COVID because I suddenly was hitting 40 and I was like, oh, geez, should really think about this as something that as just for a legacy planning.
It's interesting that you mentioned legacy planning. Most people, when they're around 40, they're thinking about retirement planning first.
Yeah.
And then after they've got that kind of situated, then they start thinking about legacy planning. But I saw that you had your mug that said daddy on it. So I assume that you're a father.
Yes,
And
I am.
parents do think about legacy planning. Not all parents think about it. And that kind of, it's one of the chords in the three chords approach that I think we're going to talk about at some point.
Yeah.
But it's great that you're thinking about that. So if you've got the retirement planning under control, next after that is definitely legacy planning.
Yeah, we've still got some. I've still got 20 years plus till I retire, so I hopefully have got plenty of time to make some more money and be able to put it away for retirement. Yes, retirement obviously is an important aspect. We're getting there. We're getting there, I suppose, is the answer. But yeah, no, it's a really interesting area. We'll go deep into it, but I want to just take us back. So the first question I ask all of my guests is the podcast is called Absolute Business Mindset. What does a business mindset mean to you?
I think about that every single day. I think about it before I go to sleep. I think about it when I wake up because I've started the business at basically ground zero and we've grown it. And I think what a business mindset is about clarity, confidence, and direction. And that the first step is that you got to get clear. So mentally thinking about it. And then once you're clear as to the direction that you're going to go in with your business, you understand, that increases your confidence once you have clarity, and then you move in the direction. So I think about that every single day. What do I want to do? How am I going to do it? And just go out and do it.
Are you very goal orientated? Do you set goals?
I am extremely goal orientated. In fact, I have my whole family doing goals. I've got a 16-year-old and a soon to be 14-year-old. And goal planning. We've been doing goal planning since they were 5 and 6 years old. So it's an important part of my household, it's an important part of myself, and also my office team. Everybody has goals. And everybody has besides having goals, they also have written what's required in order to actually achieve it. What's the activities that are needed to be done to achieve the goal?
How do you feel if you don't achieve a goal? Is it is it disappointment? Is it stronger? Like some people can be quite brutal to themselves about missing goals or not being able to achieve goals, or like
I can't remember which influence it was, that shoot for the stars, and if you only reach the moon, then you've still done pretty well as well. Are yours very stretching, or how do you feel about like missing goals?
Mine are very stretching, but I think that there's two philosophies. There's the philosophy of set the goal, a realistic goal that you can actually achieve.
Mm,
And some people believe that that's better and healthier because that helps to create better momentum versus year after year, missing the goal.
mm,
I find that my goals are set kind of like 2 or 3 years in advance. So whatever it is I
okay,
may want to actually hit this year, I probably end up by hitting it next year or the following year.
right.
That's just the way that I've been doing it. Is there a right or wrong way? I don't think so. As long as you've got goals and you're doing the activities to bring you towards those goals,
Yeah.
I think it's healthy.
Yeah, and I think it's the execution piece. It's the actions that you need to do to get to your goals. Like we can like what I hear from some people is they set goals and then they don't even think about how and what they're going to do to actually achieve those goals, which is super important. It sounds like you're factoring that in for you and your team.
Well, I think everybody's heard the term goal planning. I think schools, universities, colleges, they all teach people about strategy, right?
Mm,
But
mm,
they don't teach people about execution.
yeah,
And you're better off having a fairly good strategy, but really good execution versus
yeah,
having a phenomenal strategy and no execution.
yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on. Tell me one thing about your upbringing which reflects on who you are today.
Well, so my parents immigrated from Italy, southern Italy, to the United States in 1962, and my dad was a tailor. Learned his tailoring business in Italy and came to America. My mom's family had all immigrated here, so my mom was the last one to come. So I was raised in a very Italian American family. We were surrounded by people from Italy all the time, but we were here in the United States. It was an amazing upbringing. We didn't have a lot in terms of financial resources and material type items, but we had plenty of food, we had plenty of love, and we had plenty of togetherness. And which is something that I actually got. I got the lucky card, right? So that was something that I was kind of born into, and so that was my that's what I got to kind of see. I got to see how my dad operated his tailor shop and how he worked with his customers. I got to see my mom's interaction with her six and sevens or seven siblings here in America. I got to see an Italian American family kind of integrate into an American culture.
Mm. And
And I
where were
was
you based at that time?
Long Island, New York,
New York,
a
right?
town called Patchogue. And my mom still lives in Patchogue, and I was the only child. My parents, they only had me. I actually came later in life. My mom's siblings all had multiple children, but God only sent one, and I'm here today. So it's been a great ride, and it's been a amazing learning experience. So I think everybody gets dealt a hand as to how they're born. You don't get to pick that and what
Yeah,
you're introduced into.
yeah.
And I think whether it's a positive or a negative culture, you kind of make the best of it.
Mm,
And then at a certain point, I would say probably somewhere in your 20s, you turn the switch on and you really start to create what you want. You take all the pieces of life
yeah,
that you got, and then you assemble them into what you want. And so one of the things I didn't have a lot when I was growing up is a lot of financial resources. And so I said, you know what, I'd like to have more financial resources. And so what's required to do that? And I studied recipes of success that ties in with creating financial independence. And so I I created that. That's something I created, right? So I was given this amazing family that I grew up in, wasn't given large amounts of financial wealth, and said, well, okay, well, there's certain things that I gotta go out there and create, and that was one of them.
One of the words you used, or two words you used, was financial independence. Now, does that mean independence from your family, or did that just mean that you wanted to be independent and earn the money for for yourself and for your family?
Italian Americans and Italian people never want their kids never to move away or stay at home forever. So I wouldn't say I was concerned about being able to be, independent away from my family. I love my family,
Sure.
but I would say financial independent where I was no longer going to be required to go to work every day and enjoy a particular lifestyle. And so that's the definition of financial independence, in my opinion. So I could have stayed dependent on my family, and I've got friends and family who will continue to stay dependent on family, and these are and that's kind of the path that they've taken. And me personally, I wanted to be financially independent as well as be part of the beautiful family that I was born into.
And the other word that struck me from what you said was being a creator, which I think like it's a creator of wealth, creator of a business, creator of a lifestyle. I think it's really interesting you used the word creator. What just delve a little bit further why you've used the words creation and creator.
I thought a lot about that. So again, as I got older, met my spouse, and we've created a family. We've had children. We built a business. We've accumulated assets and bought a house, and we developed. I didn't grow up skiing, and we created a skiing lifestyle that we ski in the wintertime, and we do a lot of the things that I was not accustomed to.
Mhm.
And those are things that were created. Again, certain things we're given in life, and certain things we must create. And the things that I wanted in life that I wasn't given, or didn't fall on my lap, it was my responsibility to go out there and make it happen. And so whatever it is anybody wants in life, they can create it. If somebody wants a lot of friends, well, you can go out. You have the opportunity to go out there and create a large friend group. If you want to have a big family, go out there and have a lot of kids. If you want to create financial success, develop a business, and work at it every day and create financial success. So I think some people miss that part, where if it's not given to them and it doesn't fall on their lap, they stop short there. They're like, well, it's not fair, it's not right. Nobody told me about that. My family never gave that to me. And that's where you need to turn the page and start doing things on your own.
Yeah, absolutely right. But in your 20s, something does switch in your head where suddenly it's like early 20s, mid 20s, where you go, actually, you either been dealt a good hand or a bad hand. It doesn't actually matter. You have to take responsibility for yourself and for where you're going to achieve, how you're going to achieve, and what you're going to achieve. So I think you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Then hitting the nail on the head.
It took me a while to kind of, recognize that. I lived a very sheltered lifestyle I was surrounded by this large family all the time, and didn't do great in high school, went off to college, didn't do so great in college. I had a lot of fun. School asked me to leave, and at the age of 19, I got kicked in the teeth with this. And so my dad's worked really hard and struggled to pay the college tuition. And that was the turning point for me, was that between, being born in 19, I didn't really view anything as being my full responsibility. After getting kicked out of school, which happened to be the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right.
That was the turning point for me. And that's what's led up to where I am today.
Wonderful. Right. Tell me about your book. So your book's called Three Chords Approach, and you prioritize running businesses, supporting family, and taking care of yourself. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about your book?
All right. So after working with highly successful business owners for 25 years, I created this book called The Three Chords Approach to Life and Wealth Management for Business Owners. And the three chords represented what I saw in every business owner's life, right? I saw themselves as a highly successful business owner. Many of them had families and had friends, and they also were themselves as an individual. And the people that operated really well at all three were the ones that really had true wealth. Most of them operated really well in one of the three areas or two of the three areas. Very few operated at a high level in all three, where they took care of themselves physically, where they were there for their family and their friends at a high level, and they had super successful business owners. I saw over and over again, for the most part, 80, 90%, that most people would achieve one or two out of three.
I totally agree. And I when I was doing the research and reading about your book, it struck me. I was been an entrepreneur for 3 years, something like that. 3 years, I think. Before I spent 14 years in corporate, working in a corporate environment, and a coach / mentor, a guy that was helping me with my career at the time, said, you're gonna have times where you're gonna be 100% focused on your career or your business, and you'll be loving what you're doing, you're working hard, you're moving to the next level, whether it's a business or a career, and you're going to neglect your family. If you then twist it and say that you actually want to spend more time, you've just had kids or something like that, and you want to be at home and be available, you prioritize them a bit more, and therefore that then takes away from your career or business. And he said there's no example of work-life balance. There is just you lean towards one and then lean towards the other, depending on what your prioritization, what your goals, what you want to achieve in that year. You actually put a third aspect in, is looking after yourself, so exercise, nutrition, health, and all that sort of stuff. But what's your view on work-life balance?
I think your coach was exactly correct. I think there is no perfect balance. It's almost like we've all seen the image of somebody balancing dishes on their fingers and spinning them, and it's really hard, really, really difficult. But and I think people need to understand you're never going to be perfect at all three, but you got to put energy into all three. And if you put energy, if you put some energy into all three, you're going to be better off than the person who just put all of their energy into one. And that was the lesson that I saw from these successful business owners. At a certain point, an extra $1 million, $2 million, $5 million really doesn't mean anything. But what does mean something is that you're healthy and you're able to enjoy what you've accumulated, that your children and your family has respect for you. So that's more important than accumulating an extra 5 million, 10 million, 1 million. So the person that just focuses all their energy in that one space, because it's easy to do that. It's easy to say, I'm just going to focus on making money. I'm really good at it. And the other two things could wait, and I'm not really going to pay attention to it. That's why I'm saying it's really hard. So all the listeners should know this is not easy, but if you work at it and you schedule it, that's really the key here. It's got to be part of your schedule. And scheduling may sound boring, like, oh, who wants to schedule your whole life? Well, if you want to be successful at all three, you gotta schedule it in.
Yeah, I agree. And I think me and my wife have date night on a regular basis. Try and do it once a month, where there's no kids. We either go with friends or we go just on our own. We watch the rugby union quite a lot locally to us. We're quite close to Twickenham, where the rugby is, or watching a film. And it's you're exactly right. It kind of feels a bit boring to say, okay, we're going to do it on, I don't know, make it up, the third Thursday of every month we will go out. That there's something distinctly it doesn't feel exciting to have it all scheduled in. But if you don't have these sorts of things scheduled in, you're going to miss them, or they're going to not be prioritized because other life gets ahead of you sometimes. So I agree. The diary, one of the biggest revelations when I stopped corporate and went into entrepreneurship was having a joint diary between me and my wife, because we were both working from home, and therefore we needed to schedule when we're in, when we're out, what we're doing. And that was actually a really big success for us.
Yeah, it's a grind. It's not easy, but it's really necessary. My whole family has a model calendar. My wife puts together the model calendar for the kids. The kids are really busy with things. My daughter's in 11th grade. She's preparing for college. I mean, it's really hard. And right now I think at this particular point in life, parents take a back seat. And I think I think that's required. I don't think if parents want to put themselves in front of their kids at this particular juncture, I don't think that story ends well in my opinion. So it's just a reality of life. Somebody just said to me not too long ago, they said the hardest job in the world is to be a parent if it's done right. And being parenting and doing it right is a lot of headache. It's not easy, but it is rewarding for sure.
Which one of the three have you prioritized more in your life? Business, family, or yourself?
I would say family has been my number one priority. And after that, I would say my business, and then I put myself third as far as self. And I'm, I wrote the book, and this is something that I got to work on all the time. And one of the things, that revelation that just came to me over the weekend, we were in New Jersey. My daughter had a rowing regatta, and she's very close with her cousin who lives in New Jersey. And we don't get a lot of time to see them. And I'm like, you know what, I gotta make this happen. So he sent a text, cousin came up, and we were able to spend time together. And so the reality of was that it wasn't going to happen on its own, right? It required somebody to initiate it. And for things that you want to make happen, they have to be initiated. They will not happen on their own unless somebody does it for you. Nobody was going to send the text to my relative in New Jersey. I needed to send the text and make all of that happen. So that's
it kind of feels like that the book is telling that you should aspire to have a great balance between the business, your family, and oneself. And it's not a finished article. You don't ever crack it completely, because there's lots of demands from family, from your health, or from your business. So do you see that as well? It's more of an aspiration that we should be working towards, rather than actually a finished article, a day when you go, oh, I've cracked it.
It's really a journey. It's not a destination. It's a journey. You'll never, it's kind of like the horizon. It doesn't exist, right? You can keep walking towards it. You're never going to hit it. And it's the same thing for those three areas. It's three things that require awareness, work. Some years and some weeks and some months, you're going to do a better job at certain areas of the three chords than others. But as long as you're doing something in all three, you're on the right track. It's neglecting one or two of the chords for an extended period of time that's where it snaps. The idea behind the three chords is that each chord individually is not as strong as when all three are braided together. It becomes unbreakable.
And threes are, I was I was on a community group on Friday, and it was an improv guy talking about how to bring humor into presentations and things. And he said the power of three. And it was a bit of a light bulb moment for me, because when I'm talking or writing or creating social media content, I always match things in threes. So so they're always, when I'm sort of describing something, I'll say, I don't know, adversity and confidence and recognition, and I'll create this band of three. And he was saying that it's actually a really powerful for our minds to be able, like, the psychology of it is that you actually are building the three bedrocks of what you're trying to explain to someone or share with someone. Was your book defined by knowing that you wanted to have it in three, or when you were doing your research and thinking and strategizing about the book, did it just feel very natural that they were the three priorities?
The three came about when studying people that I was working with. And I was really good at one, which was the family piece, because I was kind of like brought up in that, and so I was good at that. That was something that I was naturally good at. The two areas that I were not always good at was focusing on myself, and I didn't really know how to grow a business. So I said, okay, well, I need to spend the energy at learning how to become a business owner. So if I did want to have financial independence, I knew that I needed to learn that. So I became a student of it, read books, went to classes, did everything that was required. And so the piece that I am lacking, but I'm working on it, is the piece on self, right? So I want to, there's things that I want to do on my own, and I don't spend as much time on them as I would like, but I spend some time on them. I don't spend zero time on them.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of people will resonate. A lot of my listeners will resonate prioritizing other things, business and family, above themselves. And that's when you get people that
you ever see, it's funny when you see somebody who's in really great shape, and somebody that's really great at business. Usually the third component, which very much lacks, is the family piece. Unfortunately, this is what I've seen, where, possibly married multiple times, no relationship with their kids. So they spend their life in the gym and the office, and then neglect the third component. And so take note of that. So you see people that are in, just something to be thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. For some of my listeners, they might not be aware what a wealth advisor is. I've hopefully shared that I've got an idea, but why don't you tell my audience, what is a wealth advisor? What is your business, and how did you start it, and how have you grown it?
Okay, so that's a great question, because a lot of people don't know what a wealth advisor is, and everybody might have a definition of. Somebody might think it's like a stockbroker or somebody that just sells investment products. A real wealth advisor works with people at developing a plan. So similar to the way that an architect develops a plan prior to building a building, a real good wealth advisor initially builds a financial plan, and then after building the financial plan, the investments become the tools and the materials to actually build out the plan and make that happen.
Right.
And so a real wealth advisor listens, understands the goals and the objectives of the client, and then finds the best tools and strategies in order to make that happen as per what the customer really wanted. So whether it's retirement planning, college planning, buying a first home, second home, financial independence, philanthropy.
It was really interesting when I was doing the research on you. You stressed a couple of times on LinkedIn and on the media kit that was sent over to me about, you didn't quite describe it like this, but how I've sort of interpreted it is that you're very much driven by the client, what the client wants, and it's a client-focused business. And we might not always think that, as you say. Some people might see that you're investing money and it might be an investment portfolio that you specialize in, but actually, when you were actually when I was reading about you, it was all very, very much customer focused, client focused. Is that fair?
100%. We're a client-centric organization. And when our clients are happy, we're happy. If our clients are not happy, then we're not happy. So we're not happy until they're happy. And so the only way people are going to get, we're going to help people get what they want for themselves, is for us to understand what they want for themselves, and then we could provide them with the resources and tools in order to help them get there.
What's the difference between a wealth advisor and a financial planner?
A wealth advisor. So if I would say that, wealth advisor is the 2023 definition of what a financial planner was years ago. Okay. So a good financial planner is now called a wealth advisor today.
Right. Okay. Fine. I was just wondering what the difference was. So I want you to put your client, your client hat on, and I'm an entrepreneur, 42 years old, and I'm sure there's lots of entrepreneurs even younger than me that haven't thought about wealth and thought about legacy or retirement. What would you say for someone in their late 30s, early 40s should be thinking about when we're considering wealth?
The first thing I would say is Do you understand what your assets, your liabilities are? Do you are clear on your income and your expenses? So first getting crystal clear on those four different things.
Yeah.
And after understanding that, then saying, okay, well, what do I want over the next 1, 3, 5, 10 plus years, right? And then you might say, well, how am I going to fund that? And the way that gets funded is looking at, so if a person earns, let's say they earn 50,000 pounds, $50,000, 50,000 euros, whatever they might be earning,
Yeah.
how much of that 50,000 are they keeping for themselves? So are they keeping 2 cents of every dollar, 5 cents of every dollar? What are they actually keeping in terms of as a percentage? So if you line up using dollar terms, if you use 10 dimes across the table, if there's 10 dimes there, how many do you actually keep? And somebody might say, well, what do you mean? I keep because I pay my expenses. No, how much do you keep without actually spending? And that's another important thing. You keep 1 dime, 2 dimes. And the people that keep 2 to 3 dimes of the 10, they're the ones that really get rich. The people that keep 1 dime, they're able to create financial independence in retirement. The people that keep 2 dimes of the 10, they're able to have an early retirement. And the people that don't keep anything for themselves, they will be dependent on the government system for their whole entire life.
It sounds very much like one of the better finance books is it Profit First? Profit First? That's
Yes.
one that I read. Are you an advocate for that?
Oh, absolutely. That is totally the case. Everybody should read the book Profit First. It's a
What's
great
the
book.
author called? I've got it on
The
my bookshelf.
author is called geez, I can't believe I can't remember because
Don't worry, I'll add it to the show notes. It's fine. We'll get the details in there. But yeah, it's a fantastic book about how to prioritize money and pots and working out where the different pots and where the money goes in. It's amazing.
One of my relatives, my niece here, she just started a new job, great job she got, and that's the first thing that I told her. I said, make sure you save into your 401k plan first. Before you do anything else, you do that first before you pay your student loans, before you pay all the, do that first and then pay your student loans and everything else. Because in the world that we all live in, you'll end up by paying everything and everybody, and then there won't be anything left over for you.
Absolutely. So one of the things you talked about, and when I read in, is that you're very into philanthropy. You are part of boards and things like that. So what's the not motivation, but what's your drive towards that, and what do you do?
So my wife and my 2 kids, we've created a small little family foundation, and I'm trying to bring it more into my house because I'm a big believer in it. I'd like to teach my kids more about it. I'd like to teach my clients more about it. We're going to be doing more work with that, and I think people that help other people with their resources through sharing do create great enjoyment. There's a big philanthropist in the United States called Ken Langone. The guy was one of the founders of Home Depot, which is a big department store for building.
Yeah.
And donated, I think, $100 million to NYU Langone. And the guy said, he's like, listen, I've done unbelievable business things in life. He goes, but nothing brought me more joy than contributing to the hospital system and helping people that really need to be helped. That's, it's really profound. And people that have real wealth, a lot of them don't really believe they can do it, or they don't know how to do it. And that's something that I think global leaders need to kind of work on. There needs to be more education around it. I know I'm going to be doing more of that with our clients, people that have more money than they'll actually use and more money than they actually want to give away to their children.
Yeah.
Those additional dollars can be used to help create the greater good. So, it has to be done responsibly, because we all know situations where philanthropy gets abused, where dollars get squandered, and that drives me crazy. So I think people that are contributing have to really vet the cause, understand it, know where the dollars are going, before actually giving away anything to any organization.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important. I think, as you say, it's part of your legacy planning, isn't it? It's if you want to give money away to charities and things.
It is, right? So, and so, sometimes people think that, oh, well, what's my $100 actually going to do to this group? It makes a difference, right? That extra hundred, you don't know the ripple effect of that $10 or the 10 pounds or 100. You don't really know the ripple effect of it. And so I was at a meeting last week, and I was sitting at this table, and I met this woman. She was in charge of this organization called the Italian Welfare League. Never knew something like this existed, where since 1928 they've been helping Italian American families that don't have money to buy wheelchairs for their kids or speech therapy or whatever it might be. I was like, never knew something like this existed. And I'm saying to myself, well, how much, I'd like to contribute. So I contributed some dollars to it, and I was like, well, it's not really that much, and so, but the dollars that I did contribute to it, I don't know where that's gonna, let's say that, so if it was $1,000, did that just buy a wheelchair for somebody that would maybe not have gotten a wheelchair?
And
Did that
equally time as well. Like if money's more of a struggle, then giving up your time is just as important, isn't it?
Absolutely. Exactly. So it's either or time, right? So when I didn't really have much in financial resources, I would contribute time. And so we can all contribute. That's a great point that you made there. If you don't have the financial resources, you can definitely contribute the time. And the people that contribute a lot in financial resources sometimes don't always have the time. So, but as long as you're contributing in some kind of way, you're making a difference.
Fantastic. Totally commendable. I think it's something that I'm so something I'm prioritizing actually is my health a little bit more. I've got a pretty good balance between family and business, I think, and it's one of the things I've struggled with is health for a while. But I think the older I get, philanthropy will be something that I want to contribute more to than I can at the moment. But just moving on. So I have a theory, and I'll be open with you as well. I have a theory that everyone is a nerd in something. So the main, or there's lots of things I get nerdy about, but two of the things that are very, very nerdy for me is sport. So rugby union, cycling, there's various things like watching, like participating. And the other thing, which is pretty nerdy, is I love Star Wars. Absolutely fascinated with Star Wars. And although Disney haven't always done their best or done as I'd wish, but I think it's enjoyable to see Star Wars evolve and change. So they're sort of things that I get quite nerdy about and sort of watch YouTube videos and podcasts and things like that. What's the one thing, Rocco, for you, would you say that you're a little bit nerdy about?
Let's see. Let me think about that. That's a good question. Let me think about what am I kind of nerdy about? I would say, I guess, I don't know if you'd consider this nerdy, but I do like it, old Italian folk music, and I like traditional aspects of things that require minimalistic type lifestyles.
Okay.
And so, I would say I'm kind of nerdy with the nostalgics of cooking, of like, I do like watching like cooking things. I mean, I've got lots of hobbies. I like golf and I love skiing, and I like skiing and
Yeah, but what's the thing that you'll watch the extra YouTube video, or you'll listen to the extra pod, or read the extra article? There's usually a few things, and like skiing and things like golf are totally valid. But it's like, will you go and wake up early in the morning? You've got a round at 11 o'clock, and you'll go in at 8:30 to hit some balls. Is that your nerdy thing?
My nerdy thing is personal growth and development. So if it's something that's going to help me become better or more knowledgeable in something that I really enjoy or do, I'll watch 50 YouTube videos. I don't watch any television for the most part. I'll watch a Netflix show or something if somebody tells me I should watch it. But I don't. There's nothing that I watch on an ongoing basis. But there is, I'm trying to think if there's anything really nerdy that I
Maybe
like.
it's just me. Maybe everyone else is.
No, listen, that's the side of you're talking about. There is the core of self. I need to identify that. That's you're in tune with things that you like for yourself, right? So you being interested in Star Wars has nothing to do with your business and has nothing to do with your family. It ties in with your personal interests.
Yeah.
And so, my personal interests revolve around, I like golf, I like to fish, but what I really like the most is I do enjoy getting better at all three of the three courts. I mean, I do that. I mean that, but I'm going to come up with something and I'm going to email you what my
Please
nerdy.
do. I'd love to,
Kind of
after
popped in
you've
my head today.
reflected on it,
Okay.
what you're nerdy about. And as we've talked a lot, like we've talked about ourselves and how it's important to prioritize ourselves in this three chords that you talk about. What's your experience of mental health? I know it's something that's very important to me. I've had experiences myself and with family members and friends who have been impacted. I know that mental health is completely indiscriminate. It doesn't matter your country, your creed, your wealth, whatever it is, it impacts. And what we're finding more and more is that it's in some way it is impacting more and more people the more we understand about it. What's been your experience with mental health?
Well, I do have a relative that does suffer with mental health, and so I think society kind of looks at mental health as being not for real. They don't treat it the same way that you look at cancer or heart disease or something like that.
Mm.
But mental health is a real thing, and it's kind of like it's a silent thing for a while until it becomes like until something actually breaks. Um, and I think that it's people's mental health is something also that we all need to kind of work on. Some people have something in their DNA that impacts it negatively, and it's a real thing. It's not a made up thing, and it's a really hard thing for people. I think a lot of people globally suffer with mental health, and it's something that needs to be talked about. I know here in the United States, at least in the state of New York, they've been cutting back on financial support
Oh, really?
towards it. It's kind of disgraceful, right? They've
Yeah.
closed hospitals, and
Oh,
what they're doing is they're just giving people medication, which is becoming probably the what they view as being the most cost effective way of treating it, as
mm,
opposed to having people be having inpatient counseling and ongoing counseling. So
yeah.
I think it's a big thing, and I think it's an epidemic in the world. I don't know what percentage of people actually suffer with mental health challenges, severely. I don't know whether
Mm,
it's 20%, 10%, or
yeah.
30%. There's probably percentage around that, and and I wish that that we as people did more to support those people, the people that are really suffering with it.
Yeah, and as you say, if you've got a broken arm, you go to the hospital and you get it repaired. If you've got a mental health issue, why do you not go and see a professional? Why do you not go and see someone that can help you?
Absolutely, it's a big thing, and and again, they don't. It's not treated. It's not in the same category as heart disease, stroke,
Mm,
cancer.
yeah.
It's viewed as being like at the bottom there, and like something that people could just like snap out of. And
Mm,
I've known people that go into very deep doldrums,
mm,
and there are things that could possibly be done. And I'd love to see more money, more time, more specialization being available for people to help them,
yeah,
to help them
absolutely.
get well and or treated, right? Potentially with mental health, it might not be something that gets cured. It might be something that needs to be treated on an ongoing basis, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree. Okay, what's the plan for Rocco for the next 2 to 5 years? Another book? Build the business? Do more fishing or golf?
Well, I still really love business. I love business, and so the next 2 to 5 years, I'll give you kind of the inside scoop here. So I've got another book that's going to be coming out this year, and it's called Recipes for Retirement. It's going to be really
Okay.
cool. It's going to be family recipes and all kinds of recipes interwoven to a book of around retirement planning.
Right.
And so that's going to be coming out around Columbus Day later this year. I'm in the process of looking at potentially maybe buying something in southern Italy, the town my parents come from, and
Amazing.
I'm close with my family there and I've got friends there, thinking about doing that. The next 10 years, looking to basically grow my business substantially, continue to build out my organizational chart, and of course, my family, right? So helping my daughter get off to college, and helping my son develop his way. So he's going into ninth grade, get through college, hoping to do more things with my wife, just my wife and myself, developing deeper bonds and relationships with my extended family and friends. And so I got a lot of things planned over
You've
the
got a
next.
lot going on, haven't you?
I want to make
Amazing.
I'm getting one ride on this carnival ride that we're all on, and
Yeah.
want to make the most out of it.
Amazing. All right. We're coming to the end of the interview. I ask the same 6 questions to all of my guests. They're quick fire questions. They don't need a quick fire answer. The first question is, what was the best decision that you've made?
I would say my selection of my spouse, right? So the wife that we ended up by being together is one of the best decisions that I've made, because that's helped me to get to where I am today. So that was probably one of my best decisions.
Excellent. What's the best piece of advice you've been given?
Best piece of advice that I've been given is I would say, you know, um, being there for your family when they're young, because they will grow quickly.
That's so true. Mine are nearly 7 and 9. And so 2 girls, and it's very much making precious memories, because they'll get to 14 or 15 and they'll be wanting to go to the cinema with their friends and going out with their friends, and you'll end I'm already at the stage where I'm on the weekends a taxi driver, a cab driver, but trying to make those moments special and have experiences and moments with them is very, very important to me. So I 100% agree. Next question: who helped you most in your career?
I would say, I've got I've got a lot of mentors, but there's a gentleman by the name of Tom who kind of took me under his wing when I started 25 years ago, and we have similar backgrounds, and had very much views along the same type of views, and has given me lots of advice along the way. So he's definitely mentored me quite a bit throughout my career.
Amazing. Tell me about a regret that you have.
One of my regrets, I've got a couple of regrets, but one of the regrets is that, life gets crazy and life gets in the way. I've always wanted to have more children, and the opportunity to have more children kind of, we've got 2 children. We're grateful for having 2 children. I would have liked to have a couple more children, but the whirlwind of life and the insanity of life, kind of took us away from it. We had and so, being concerned, all the different things of life, and so, being more, I'd say, so being more relaxed in the way that to say everything will work itself out, have more children, things will be okay.
Interesting. What are you most proud of? And you can't say your kids.
I would say that I'm most proud of the I would say my ability to be there for others, and having knowing when somebody actually needs me for something,
Yeah.
and being able to help them. So that is knowing what resources are available, and so having that skill set of being there to really be able to help people, I would say, is what I'm most proud of.
And I've just written down so I read an article a while ago This is like a couple of years ago, at least 3 or 4 years ago, and they said it's very similar to your book theory, and I just want to contrast it against your book while we've got a few minutes. They say there's 5 parts of your life. There is work, friends, family, health, and a hobby. Choose 3. Choose 3 and do it well. You can't choose 4 or 5, you'll fail at them. But I thought it's a very interesting idea, like contrasting against the way you've come up with 3 things, which I totally support. Family and work and yourself are totally important. But it's interesting. I just came to me while we were talking. That interesting point. It was like, right, they're the 5 things in life. Now choose 3 and do them well. What's your thoughts?
It would be it was the 5 that you said again. Where could you tell me the 5 again?
So work, friends, family, health, and a hobby.
It would be health, family, and work. So that those are the 3. And
they're your 3 of your book as well.
yes,
Fantastic.
yeah. I think about all that. Listen, I like to play golf and ski and do other things and fish, but I would not put them in the top of the list of my priority. So as I go through life, I want, as I'm my legacy and being remembered, I wouldn't want somebody to say, oh, he was at the golf club all the time and he was an amazing golfer.
Yeah.
That's not for, while it might be for somebody, that's not how I would want to be remembered.
I agree. And you mentioned legacy. The last question in this section is, what does legacy mean to you?
I would say legacy for me is that teaching my children how to actually fish versus giving them the fish. So I'm hoping that they're able to be independent. So legacy is not what they may get or what they don't get. The legacy is, can they take care of themselves and be independent and be good citizens? Care about other people, be good family people, be financially independent, and so be healthy, happy, productive people. That's my wish there. That's my legacy that I'd like to create.
And lastly, where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
So they could reach out. They could Google me, or they can go to my author website, which is Rocco, ROCCO, middle initial A, CARRIERO.com.
Fantastic. I actually looked at your website. It's a very nice web. It's well designed, and there's lots of things there as well for people to explore. Look, Rocco, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I feel like I've got to know you a little bit as well, and sort of understood you. So thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
When I come see my relative in London, I'm going to come and see you too.
Drop me a message and we'll come and we'll go for a beer in the pub.
Oh, I'd love to do that. Thanks, Mark.
Lovely. All right. Thanks, Rocco. Cheers.
I really hope you've enjoyed that content. It's a really fascinating interview that I've done there. So please do, if you are enjoying this content, please do give it a like. Please do give a subscribe. It'd be really good to boost the subscriptions. It really makes a difference to the algorithm in YouTube. So thank you for that. If you do hit subscribe, hit the bell icon and you'll get all of the content. You'll get notified when all the content is available. Thank you so much for your time. It's really appreciated. Thanks a lot.